Live on YouTube and listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.
I was waiting for that to make an appearance backstage. Fantastic.
Yes, everyone, we're back. It's Monday night. You know what time it is, right? You know how this song and dance goes. It's my week to host, funnily enough. It seems only yesterday since the last one, but, you know, we're here now. Joining me this evening, your usual Titans that usually make an appearance on here. Nathan, how are we?
I'm very well, thank you, Julio. Mad to think there's 1 week till Christmas. The only thing that scares the life out of me is watching Cardiff City, but we'll get onto that in a bit.
Yeah, it wasn't fun, especially in the group chat. It wasn't a fun one for Nathan. Below the both of us is Scottish finest. Reece, how are you?
I am very well, thank you. Should be a good show. We're not going to go like our usual long running marathon tonight. We're going to be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. We're not going to go awfully long tonight because we're all exhausted. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm still recovering from the Christmas do on Saturday that I had at work. So yeah.
Mine's just Friday.
Anyway, without further ado, let's jingle these bells and let's get on with the show. There's only one place to start. Reece, United, Anfield, away.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. I mean, confession here. I was at work yesterday running off 2 hours sleep. I got home, put the game on. I only watched the first 5 minutes. Suddenly, next thing I know, I'm waking up from an hour and a bit, 2 hour nap. And Deloge literally just about to be sent off. So I didn't watch the game initially, but I had to go watch it back. But talk to me about the result itself and what does it mean for either team in where they're going with this season?
I think, I'll be honest, for United to be the last team in the Premier League this season to date to get a draw in the league is crazy. 17 games, United have finally got a draw. Liverpool's home record, 100% home record is over, which I think is important as well. But I'll be honest, I don't know about you, but I don't think the result actually means anything to Man United. It's great that we didn't lose, but we didn't win either. Like, I'm just thinking that in terms of the draw, we've managed to get a very important point, but it doesn't hide the fact that we're still in a situation where we've got a lot to do, a lot to improve upon. Whereas Liverpool were very, very poor. Liverpool couldn't strike for toffee. I think when you look at the circumstances, I think a draw was the right result. There were some good chances from either side where it really mattered, but end of the day, I don't think it really tells anything important for Man United except that we've got a lot to do, and it still papers the cracks over some players shouldn't be here. Style of play really needs to come into question about the long-term approach, but I still think it's great that at least we didn't lose a very important game that last year we got absolutely mugged. I think it's a little bit refreshing, but in terms of either team, what does it really tell? I don't think it tells anything. I think what it does tell, though, is it shows the arrogance of Liverpool, thinking if they just show up, they'll absolutely batter Man United, who aren't in good form, good confidence. Just because we're not in good form or good confidence doesn't mean you're going to automatically steamroll us. You have to actually earn it. Liverpool didn't earn it for 90 minutes, in my opinion. That's what I took from the game personally.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think a 0-0 at Anfield can come across as a good result in the sense of the context behind it. I mean, I don't know I don't know what you think about the result itself, because there's been a debate where people are going, "Where are your standards? We're celebrating a draw." But when you think of Anfield away, forget our record in recent seasons, but Anfield away is always a tough place to go for anyone. I know Jose went there 3 times and drew 2 of them 0-0 on the same weekend, by the way, on each year. But I don't know, what do you make of it? It's obviously like, you look at it from the perspective of it's a good result in general. Do you look at it from the perspective of it's a good result because of obviously what's happening to United this season, how everyone in the build-up everyone was worried, like no one gave us a chance, including ourselves. How do you look at the result itself, not in terms of like where United are at, but almost like, is it one to be happy about? Is it one to be angry about? Because there's a debate going on in the media about this.
I think with it, you've got to sort of take a nuanced opinion and look at it from a number of different angles. Considering the way that you guys have been playing, especially within the last month or two, you could probably take this as a good result and sort of steadying it at 0-0. We all know Anfield is a tough place to go for any team, but at the end of the day, as any away fan will say, after You'll Never Walk Alone is finished, the place is absolutely silent.
There's no atmosphere at Anfield.
It's terrible. Like, I know the cops at the other end of the pitch, but literally everyone else is they're just sat there like this.
I'd love to know where they get this metric that Anfield has got the best atmosphere in the Premier League, or it's one of the best atmospheres in Europe. Based on what?
I know, that's what I want to know.
Like, you
It's
could literally
atrocious.
hear
Moments.
You can hear a pin drop. Literally, you could hear a pin drop in Anfield. That's how bad it is.
Anfield gets really loud in moments, but consistently, it's not loud at all. I think when you think of that Wenger quote from a few years ago, where in terms of Champions League, what are places you don't want to go? Anfield away. Newcastle are getting into that bracket with St James's Park. They're not there now, but you've seen how loud their games have been at St James's Park. Give it a couple of years. It will be very interesting to see what it's like for teams to go there. So I think that this Anfield myth probably needs to be dropped, but Anfield, especially the first 5 minutes, it seemed quite loud. And if Liverpool got that early goal, I worry that the players would have crumbled and we would have seen a 4-0, like we saw under Ranić. Liverpool scored inside the first 5 minutes. So
their players do tend to get a lot of that comfort and confidence, in particular if Liverpool get the front advantage. But yeah, well, less said about atmosphere-wise there. But in terms of result, I think this is absolutely dire for Liverpool. Not disrespecting Man United or anything in that regard, but just the fact of the way that they handled with the draw. Like, they had it in their hands to really put this game to bed and take their chances. They absolutely couldn't hit a barn door, and this is a bad tale for them if they're trying to push for that title this season, which we'll get onto in a bit. But as for Man United, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of problems there, but I do think this does cover it up a little bit and will relieve the stress and pressure, in particular from Ten Hag as well. Okay, this is a good grinded result. We can take lessons from it. We didn't lose, but at the same time, Liverpool did walk all over us. But how can we accommodate it so that doesn't happen again? I think it's a good stepping stone for it. But I think the main talking points in particular is now the title race and also ref watch as well, which we will get onto shortly. However, get to January. That's all I'll say for you guys.
I'll say this as well, though. This isn't a title race. I'm not gonna lie, the title race is still Arsenal versus Man City. I think people are false illusioned by Liverpool. The title race is Arsenal versus Man City. Liverpool aren't title favourites in my opinion. They shouldn't be in the conversation, not because they don't deserve to be, but this is Liverpool where there's a better squad, but this is Liverpool when they were under Jurgen Klopp, when he first came in. It's having 100%. To score is having to outscore opponents because they concede too many goals. They aren't title contenders, in my opinion. And now a lot of people are going to say I was biased because you're against Liverpool. Well, yeah, I am. But I said the same thing on the previous show I was on the other day. I said the same thing. I don't think Liverpool are title favourites at all. I still think they'll finish third or fourth.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they're basketball games right now. They're basketball games right now. So I just think that this idea
Borderline
that
cricket score.
yeah, exactly. So I just think that this talk, in fact, with all the teams in the supposed title race, this isn't a straightforward title race. I said that it might be an 85-point season, and I still stand by it because each team up there, there's question marks over them. You can discuss City's complacency or like the poor form, whatever. We know they go on the run like second half of the season, but aside from their drop off seeming a little more worrying than normal, Liverpool, they still don't have a set midfield. That gap between midfield going forward and the defence, they don't have that stability.
And on top of that, in particular with Liverpool as well, that I know everyone's noticed it like a sore thumb, but the tactic that everyone seems to be employing against them at the moment is to overload down that left-hand side.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what else is really concerning as well. Actually, it's not really concerning for me, but if you're a Liverpool fan, you'd be concerned. Is how predictable Klopp's tactics are being right now.
Yes,
it's half time. It's half time up to 60 minutes. You're playing Trent Alexander-Arnold as a right back. Then you're making very predictable changes, and then Trent's going into central midfield. If you're going to play Trent as a central midfielder, why not just play him in central midfield from the off now? Like, it makes no sense. Like, I don't personally understand it. I think it's quite predictable because a lot of teams have it against them now. It's definitely predictable to me that these are the changes he's constantly making. And if that's how they're going to do it, they'll get found out so easy. I think that's 3 or 4 games in a row, because I think Gary Neville mentioned it. That's the 3rd or 4th game in a row that Klopp's done it. And I'm like, that's becoming very predictable.
it is. Because especially the tactical geniuses, as we can call them all, the really tactical astute managers. So you're talking your De Zerbi's, Unai Emery 11 for breakfast as well. Pep's going to see it. Arteta's going to see it. Even Gary O'Neill, who's actually done really well with Wolves. I think he'll exploit.
I know Villa have got us coming up, but don't Liverpool not have Villa to play as well? Because I've seen something about why Kamara. Because Kamara got sent off, and Kamara's a Liverpool fan.
Right, let's have a look at that.
If Villa have Liverpool in the next 3 games, that's quite concerning because Villa's
they don't play Liverpool till right at the end of the season, like May.
11th of May.
So I find that strange why people are saying that Kamara got sent off for Liverpool, but Villa's.
Is there a cup? Are they having? Is there not a Carabao Cup tie in the week?
Yeah, West Ham.
Play West Ham. Liverpool, West Ham at Anfield. Liverpool's false title hope ends this weekend anyway. Arsenal are beating them on Sunday.
The thing is though, with Arsenal, the question marks for them, for me, would be the goalkeeper situation and the striker situation. I think if you want to be a title-winning team, you need a spine that's set, and those are the 2 points of that spine. Now he's changing one part of the spine, and the other part of the spine isn't good enough. So that raises question marks about their title hopes as well.
Arsenal's title hopes will end when they play City the second time.
I do think, however, I'll get onto City in a minute when we go into the actual title race preview. But the thing that I've noticed with Man City is, unlike previous seasons, because they always seem to stumble around just before Christmas, I think this is here to stay for the time being. And I can see them being well out at the time. Not well out of the title race, but you're sort of your hoverings around your thirds, your seconds maybe. But whoever's leader at the time, sort of significantly dropping behind by at least 10 points. And I think it's combining from that because of the lack of defensive midfielder or the lack of the midfielder leadership role in midfield. I know you got De Bruyne, etc. in there, but Kovacic isn't being used. Gundogan's obviously not there. Bernardo Silva needs to be pushed further up the pitch. Calvin Phillips has been frozen out.
I think that's
Pep's
a big
really
mistake.
struggling with it.
I think it's a massive mistake, the fact he's frozen out Calvin Phillips.
I know
Calvin Phillips is Calvin Phillips' biggest problem is he's got an injury record. But Calvin Phillips is a very good midfielder in a very organised system. Like right now, where you really need it, I would use him. I think another thing as well is quite telling is, ironically, it's the same top two when the last Premier League champion went to the Club World Cup and still won the league, and that was Man United back in 08-09. They went to the Club World Cup and they were 10 points behind Liverpool and Arsenal, and both teams still finished behind Man United. I still think the same circumstance, they'll both finish behind Man City. There's no way that they finish above City in the league unless City come back horrific from the Club World Cup, and I don't think that'll happen. I think they'll win that Club World Cup with ease and they'll just reinvigorate them.
It's a tricky one because another thing that you got to look at, I know Pep is very quiet in January transfer windows, but
I think that'll change.
I think it's going to have to. I can see them not going on the cheap, but not in particular overspending. Sort of going for your middle ground, 30 to 40 million. I mean, it's ridiculous saying those numbers now, but in Man City's terms, that's cheap. Looking
well,
at
it depends.
That.
When they signed Laporte, they signed him in January, and it was said in the All or Nothing documentary. They said we're bringing this investment forward by 6 months because they had an injury crisis at centre back. Like,
but they still
they were
spent
playing,
massive money on Laporte.
Yes, they did. Granted,
incredible.
they spent 50, 60 odd million pounds, and it wouldn't surprise me if they go in for that kind of transfer where we go, we're going to pay big for a holding midfielder in the summer anyway.
Yeah,
you might as well do it now.
I think it's quite stupid for them to go and get another holding midfielder. They've already got the midfielders there. The problem as well is the chop and changing system. If anything, that back three system they were playing was working, and now they've just abandoned that again. Like, stick to a system and just go for it. That's what I don't understand about Pep sometimes. I'm like, his tried and tested method is horrific at times.
It's like another example as well. I know I say it all the time. Is why is it particularly playing the likes of Kanji, etc. All these players out of position. Sometimes it's effective, but every time I've seen Pep do it, it just does not seem to work.
Yeah, the change. Is he the new Tinkerman?
If he's trying to be Ranieri, then who knows?
He's always been a Tinkerman, to be fair, until it gets a certain point, then his team sticks. But he's mad.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that this isn't the most straightforward race we've had in years, in the sense of there's question marks over everyone. City would probably be your safe bet to win it, but at the same time,
they have so many shortcomings at the moment.
It could be a case of, listen, we may be talking prematurely. It could get 2 or 3 months, and then eventually we're like, yeah, City are back on top. Like, they'll win every single game between now and then. Like, it was only in January earlier this year that they lost 1-0 to Spurs, and everyone was like, is Haaland the problem? So,
I think we may have even said it on here, and on top of that as well, to add to the discussion, everyone said that it was a one-horse race for Arsenal. They were like, okay, Arsenal are miles ahead. There's no way they're going to bottle it now. Man City haven't done enough. And then all of a sudden, bang, Man City just become magnificent and Arsenal completely bottle it.
Yeah.
And
so
you're talking
it can
worse
still
than what
change.
Tottenham did all those years ago.
It can still change. This title race can still change, but I just think that regardless of who wins the league this year, No one's done it convincingly, I don't think. When Liverpool won it a few years ago, they were the only team that pretty much turned up that year. Now, credit where credit's due, you still went on, you did your thing, but the league was over by late October, early November.
They were also very lucky in the sense that how they were playing as well. There was other teams around them that physically had no other choice but to stick to the team they were playing. They were able to be quite flexible. Like City's defense was ruptured. Our team was quite inconsistent as well. Like, we were all over the place. Chelsea, to be fair, should have won the league, I think.
With a better manager, they might have challenged. Bar City and Liverpool, all the other teams were going through some rebuild transition. Those 4 other top 6 teams had new managers at some point, whether it's from the very start or during the season. You know, Leicester were second on Boxing Day, and it looked like there was some kind of title decider. Even though there's an 8-point gap.
Rebuild. I think we should put rebuild as a bloody buzzword, because that's all seems to be nowadays. Like, clubs are just in rebuilds. You're not in a rebuild for long if you actually just get what you need to do done in one transfer window. Like, clubs have proven it before. It's just so fucking funny. But
it's like, I'll say this as well, and it's sort of tying my club into it. You can only say that your club's in a rebuild if it's for maximum 1, maximum 2 years. You can't say that, we've been in like a 4, 5, 6 year rebuild. That's just you being completely terrible.
We've
not knowing a plan.
We've been in more rebuilds than anything else, so I think that says a lot. Like, that's not a rebuild, that's just no organisation.
Exactly.
Like, so United have been in a rebuild for 10 years.
So I think Man United need to stop being described as in a rebuild, and we're just in dire shit situation, and until you actually fix things, and you can't actually improve the situation. We're not in a rebuild.
Well said.
So, one final point on the title race. Nathan, I'll ask you first.
I think there's a big elephant in the room we're missing as well, with a team that needs to be mentioned.
Villa.
Really?
Aston Villa.
No, that will fall off in the latter part of the season, I think.
I don't know why. I can't see it at the moment. I think they're going to be up there and battling until at least February. Even then, I still think they could push on and be comfortably in the Champions League.
I think they can finish top 5. I think they can finish top 5. I think it will depend on how far they go in cup competitions. Because Reece also thinks they'll go far in cup competitions.
I think they'll win the FA Cup. I think they'll get conference semi-finals, and they'll finish top 4. They've got the best organised team in the league, and right now, to be honest, I'd take Unai Emery over Eric Ten Hag.
I agree. And to add to that as well, from what I've seen from them, in particular with their Conference League performances, which they are grinding out very well, the depth there is okay. And, well, hopefully the Villa owners, who have really pushed for investment and have got a wicked plan there since they've come in, I can see there being money available in January.
I think all they need is another centre-back and a striker, just to take the burden off Ollie Watkins. I think that's all they need, because they've got so much quality in that squad. And it annoys me to see it. They play the 4-4-2 perfectly. I would honestly take some of that at United right now again. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that. They play it perfectly. It's so balanced. I'm not saying get rid of Ten Hag, but I wouldn't mind him.
It's crazy. 4 years ago, his stock was an all-time low. If we got him after we sacked Ollie, for example, how many people do you think in the media would have gone, we failed at Arsenal, he's not good for Premier League, he's doing all right at Villarreal, etc., etc.
Yep.
It's ridiculous
Clubs need to be brave when they make an appointment, though. That's the thing. You need to be brave to appoint a manager. Aston Villa,
they need to be able to look at it objectively.
We know this. Aston Villa were willing to bring in a guy who was close to winning a Conference League with Villarreal. They were already flying in the Conference League. Villa were in the relegation zone, and they went, by the way, we're bringing you in. You're going to have a lot of money to spend. What can you do for us? Oh, I know what I'll do.
He didn't even spend anything either, did he, in January? The January he came in November, obviously, but the
He had
first transfer
nothing.
window,
He had nothing to
he
spend.
didn't spend anything, did he?
That's
His
why I say
first
he's better. That's why I keep saying Unai Emery has done better for Villa than Eddie Howe has done for Newcastle. That's the difference. That's the difference. Like Unai Emery had nothing to spend. He had a good squad there. Newcastle's squad was actually good when Eddie Howe actually came in. It was just managed by a shit manager, but he had to spend to ensure they would finish high up. That's the
Of course,
difference.
because they were bottom, weren't they, when he first came?
Yeah, they were.
They were both in the relegation zone. They were both in the relegation zone in different seasons. But I firmly believe Unai Emery has done better for Villa than Eddie Howe's done for Newcastle. But Newcastle fans will say, "Oh, but he got us to the Champions League." I was like, "Well, yeah, I'd expect to be in the Champions League with all that fucking money spent."
Exactly, and not only that as well, come the end of the season, when they're going, "Oh, we're in the Champions League," well, bang, so are Villa. Pretty much
First
same
full
timeline,
season.
just a season later.
Yeah.
And Villa at
Just
least would actually go over a group.
Yeah.
I think so. And not only that as well, with the way they've been playing at the moment, it's not even going to be close than securing Champions League. They're going to be well in it by a mile, unlike Newcastle, who were battling the whole season.
The only way they don't do it is if somehow Ten Hag got moved on. I think Man United would actually try on Unai Emery if Ten Hag wasn't in a job, because it would be a chance to go like, well, I've already done Villa now and I'm actually enjoying it, but could I take this job? I'd actually enjoy seeing United play organised football. I'm not saying sack the manager, but I could see if they look within the league for a manager, he would actually be my top choice.
It's crazy because he was Newcastle's prime candidate, wasn't he?
He was. And they bottled on him. They went, nah. And he bottled on them by saying, I'm alright where I am. But then he picks Villa for them because he picked a bigger club. See, the man knows football.
Yeah. We'll move on now. I think.
They're such a wicked team as well.
Exactly.
Like, I love watching
yeah.
Villa play. Like I love watching Villa play. Whenever United are not on, like I enjoy watching them play. It's similar to how I liked watching Southampton. Like it's just that quality to watch, that higher level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Jeez, I don't know what's the matter with me this evening. Yeah, we'll move on now. Nathan, I'll come to you first on this one. Ref watch. Anything you want to bring to the table?
Good grief, I have loads. One of them is obviously Cardiff Millwall. That whole game's a ref watch. I'm sorry, but I know I'll get on to Cardiff City in a minute, but to put it very, very bluntly, the build up to the goal, Itete, nowhere near the ball, gets fouled. Straight down the other end, offside. Ref still gives it. 2 mistakes. Absolutely shocking. Second one from that game that I'll have to bring in as well. Linesman makes an absolutely shocking mistake. So they play it out. Admittedly, Mate was next to it. However, he doesn't touch it at all. Flags in favour of Birmingham City. Mate questions the decision, gets booked for dissent.
Yep.
Absolutely ridiculous. That's my first one. Second one, if anyone watches that video, and I recommend you do, guys, like that whole game was just us complaining about refereeing decisions. It was woeful, but that's another thing to shove down into the grim Cardiff City section where I have to talk about how absolutely terrible we are yet again. We'll get onto that later, but
So in essence, your ref watch is just your YouTube channel at the moment.
pretty much, yeah, as it always is.
Fair enough. Reece?
But we'll
What
get
about
on to
you?
Man United, Liverpool, in my opinions, anyway.
My ref watch is definitely the 2 red cards, which I find, well, the red card from the 2 bookings that were insanely quick. My only issue, plenty of chances Darwin Núñez like should have been sent off. The thing that really bizarrely caught me by surprise with Dallo is I get it the first time he was angry for the circumstance where it was an incorrect throw and given to Liverpool, and he's ratted out on it. I wouldn't book him for the first one. I would book him for when he turns around and does it again. I don't get why instantly Michael Oliver's went and gave him 2 yellows. I think that is very naive. But I also think that's just another like throwing a knife at it. I don't get that at all. That's not sending off. I understand why it's a red, but it's definitely not. Especially when there was a lot more in there that suggested like, Jesus Christ, it seemed every single tackle yesterday by a United player was a bookable offence. Only one Liverpool player I remember seeing yesterday get booked, and that was Darwin Núñez for that incredibly stupid barge on Johnny Evans. Like, that made no sense.
And not only that as well, obviously the barge was stupid, but it's the fact that the one that annoys me in comparison to the Delo red card is the kicking of the ball.
He's barged Evans, he's kicked the ball away, and
so
then
kicking
he's
the ball
the
away.
referee.
Yeah. So put this into perspective, right? When you can compare it with the Delo decision, kicking the ball away is automatic. Yeah, kicking the ball away is automatically a bookable offence. It says it in the laws of the game. We've seen it so many times. That's dissent, so that's a yellow. Delo does even what like very minor. In fact, 2 bits of dissent. Sometimes he just needs to be given a warning there. But what Darwin Núñez did, but I'm no way defending Delo for anyone who's wondering. I'm going into this from a neutral perspective.
Even Doug called Darwin Núñez a clown in a group chat with him. Doug called Núñez
a
clown.
Fair play to Doug. But honestly, Núñez did 2 different offences.
That's a good point. Salah did also kick the ball away as well.
He did. This is where the Michael Oliver inconsistencies come into it yet again. Where's the PGMOL or whatever you call it? Where's their apologies? Where's Michael Oliver's suspension for a week? Another aspect as well is obviously going back to it, the double offence of Núñez, the single offence from Delo. So the first one should have been a warning, second one a booking.
Yep. 100%.
Inconsistent. Completely inconsistent. And obviously VAR can't intervene because it's a second yellow.
I can't understand the thought process behind it.
I don't know.
Someone's complaining.
Like the first time he's doing it, but he's looking at the fans in frustration, and he's throwing his hand because he knows that the ref's done wrong. But it's when he turns around the second time, he's like, yeah. But he's still fucking like 20 yards away from Michael Oliver, and he's like, well, fuck you. Like, you've got this.
It's not like he's actually gone in his face. Like
too...
Di Maria pushed him once and got a second booking.
Yeah, but I'm like, the first one isn't a booking. That's normal. The second time is a booking. It's not a red. I mean, like I said, like I understand why he's gave it as a red. It's 2 books of dissent, but Jesus Christ, 2 dissent bookings in the space of 10 seconds. I'm sorry, but that's bang out of order. And this just goes back to the point of people saying, oh, but it's only Man United that gets decisions. Clearly not. We had more decisions go against us than fucking Liverpool. Like, I wanted that game to actually be better than what it was, but the referee again has stolen the attention from a very interesting game. And furthermore, it's the fact that what is with the leniency on Núñez and Salah compared to Dalot? I'm not saying just get rid of all 3 of them, but where's the leniency? Like, how can you give so much leniency? Like, it makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, Dalot, fair enough, deserved to go. He'd already lost his head. Getting him off the pitch is actually a smart thing for him before he actually punches someone. But Darwin Núñez gets to play a full 90 minutes after he's knocked a footballer half off in his an experienced football off in his arse for no reason. He could have sideswept Johnny Evans. He was going to get the ball because he beats him for pace, and he kicks the ball away, and he claps the referee with a smirk. I'm sorry, but how can you not send him off for that? Like that makes no sense to me, you know.
This is the one problem we have with refereeing. There's no consistency. And to top it all off, when you've got these referee shows that's supposed to give us clarity, and yet you ask these people, well, how come it didn't happen then? And no comment is given.
The reason no comment is given is because there's no answer for it. There's no reason into why they've done it. They've just genuinely made a bad call, and we're seeing
that show has been done to make sure they don't criticize referees. Or it almost seems like that, because you'd have to say that was a mistake somewhere. It's a lose-lose.
I was shocked by one thing yesterday. One, that baldy bastard that's actually on Ref Watch, who really had no clue what he was doing or whatever the show is they've got. Mike Dean was completely upfront the whole time when he was actually asked on commentary during the game. He was asked, "Is this a bookable offence?" And he said, "No." "Is this a bookable offence?" "Yes." "What's the difference between this and that for being a bookable offence?" He's like, "Well, one, the player's action is significantly different." And he actually spoke about the Evans one. He's like, "Why wasn't Darwin Núñez not sent off?" Like, Mike Dean actually got asked about that. Why was he not sent off for the whole situation? And he went, "I don't know. You need to ask Michael Oliver. He seems to be in control of the situation." Michael Oliver had no control of that game yesterday. None.
It's very rare you see a referee have control of a game of that magnitude, to be fair. The referees in England don't seem to have the backbone to be able to control a game of that, like a game like that.
I think they're afraid to have control because they think that the players are going to do something to them. The players would actually respect referees if they actually had more control of the game. It would actually make the games better. That's our Ref Watch in a nutshell. Like, fans and players and even managers would respect the referees more.
Refs are losing authority. Yeah, refs are losing authority over players because they're not showing any authority. They don't have any authority.
I'd love to know why.
Another egotistical one as well. I can't remember
we need to discuss
what match it was from. It was so there was one where VAR footage was released, and it was the foul on Mudryk. I can't exactly remember who they were playing, but it was it was a few weeks ago. When I'm going to say his name again, and obviously he's an enemy of Cardiff City, Craig Pawson. So Mudryk gets completely taken out.
That was Chelsea's. It was Chelsea's 3 games ago. 3 matches back.
Oh, who was it? Let me find it a sec. But just run, because if anyone hasn't seen that clip, please go and watch it. It
was definitely the last. It was definitely the game before us. I'm pretty sure it was the game before us. And he got taken out, and it was definitely disgusting because that was a red card.
It was because it was last man at the end of the day. And
it's
this
quite
is
odd for Mudryk to be the last man.
Oh, it was Brighton.
See,
yeah, so it was the Brighton game. Conor Gallagher goes in, just completely takes out Mudryk last man. Then you have Pawson behind him, who I know is obviously allergic to giving penalties. Just goes straight up from it, and it was right in his eye line. No, it wasn't a penalty. Contact where the ball was made. Referee goes to not referee. VAR goes to Pawson, going, "Hang on a minute. No, we're checking this. It's too close to call." Goes to check it, and then because Pawson goes over to the screen and even tries to argue that he's made the right decision, and then quickly gets backtracked and schooled by VAR.
Yep. Which is a shocker that VAR actually won a fight against a referee when you very rarely see it. But that's exactly.
But when it's Craig Pawson, at the end of the day, because he's so egotistical, and with the amount of decisions that he gets wrong, got absolutely schooled. And in the end, he just has to follow what VAR said, which was absolutely fantastic.
I agree. I think one thing we need to do though is these referees just need to come out and say what is going on with their issues, like why they're not speaking up about it. I tell you what I found very strange yesterday. How we spoke about last week about the amount of added time that happened at the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
Consistently. Did you notice how the fact is they were beating Brighton? Did you notice how that added time slightly just disappeared? Did you notice that? How much of a coincidence that fans have been saying, where the hell is all this added time coming for Arsenal? And then it magically disappears against Brighton. The one team that Arsenal have struggled against in the last couple of years. I find that a bit weird and coincidental. A little bit coincidental. I bet you against Liverpool, I'm willing to bet a tenner on it. The game against Liverpool, you'll see about 5-6 minutes added on again each half. I'm willing to bet or even guess that that added time will come back this Sunday.
I mean, you viewed it here first.
I'm that confident because there was nothing on that Arsenal game. I'm actually going to double check right now because it was very short. 2 seconds.
Yeah, I've got another thing to actually add about the added time, and this is another ref watch from our game against Birmingham City. God, I could go on about it for hours. So after Reece YT was fouled, go on.
Lads, Girona are winning 2-0 at half-time against Alaves. They are literally going to end the new year top of the league. They are 2 points clear of Real Madrid, and they've still only lost 1 game all season. The same as Madrid. They're 9 points
This
clear
is
of
nuts.
Barcelona. Their goal difference is plus 20. It's the second best goal difference in the league behind Real Madrid.
Wow.
They are genuinely fucking cruising. It's 1-1 Atalanta and Salernitana. Leicester are winning 2-1 at half time, by the way. You know what's even
Birmingham City
funnier?
losing again.
Leicester were only ahead for 4 minutes. They literally, Mavididi scored, and then Jordan James equalised 4 minutes later. Then Dewsbury Hall scored, and that's it. It's been like that ever since. Leicester should be running away with this league. I'm actually surprised by the top 2. Southampton are doing better than expected after they fell behind quite a while ago.
I know.
Sporting Lisbon are actually beating Porto. It's nearly half time. It's 1-0 Sporting Lisbon. Shout out to Messi for that. Yeah, that Gyökeres is quality. Al Ali have been knocked out of the Club World Cup. I watched their game on Friday actually when they beat Benzema FC 3-0. I was watching it in the pub. Benzema's penalty got saved as well. It was so shit. But they've lost 2-0 to Fluminense. All over them and everything. All over them. But aye, so double checking the Arsenal Brighton. So obviously they scored the goal in the 87th minute, no problem. But notice look at how long they had added on. If it comes up, 1 second. Let's see if it loads. Look how long, coincidentally,
90
they had
plus
in the
3.
Yep. That's
That's
all they
nothing.
had in the second half. 3 minutes added
Question,
on.
Reece: how many substitutions were made?
Let's see. Substitutions. Arsenal made 4. Brighton made all 5.
So just from that, and with the goals as well, that
Yep.
straight away tells me that added time was not calculated properly.
And Arsenal made 2 changes in the 89th minute. They made a change in the 93rd minute. They made Arsenal made all 5 changes. They made 2 changes in the 80th minute as well. The last 13 minutes of the match, they're making 5 changes.
So
That's
straight
very
away
sus.
from that is at least 2.5 minutes.
Yep.
And I'll bring it from Brighton.
Brighton made,
and especially with the balls going out as well. That's at least over 5 minutes.
I agree.
That's shocking.
Brighton were forced into a change in the 27th minute. Veltman had to come off in the 27th minute. Milner and Ferguson came off in the 60th minute. So did Lallana. And then Adingra came off in the 79th minute. And then 2 minutes later is when Arsenal's substitution started. So after Brighton's 5th change is when Arsenal finally made changes. Not going to lie, I find that very suspicious.
Yes.
I don't. Because this kind of incompetence happens every week.
No, but it's weird incompetence that Arsenal have had on average about 6.5 minutes per added time since the start of the season. They get to Brighton, all of a sudden they've only got 3 minutes. I'm sorry, but it just seems very suspicious.
It's a funny coincidence. Who'd have thunk?
Absolutely is.
Right, what's next? Because we're coming to the very end as well. We've done really well.
Yeah, we're not far away. Reece. Mickey Beale. Beale or no Beale?
I did tell
He's
you
back
that
in the
he'd be
north.
back in the job very soon. I did tell you. I mean, I saw it coming. I did say Sunderland would just do it. Although, to
I'm
be fair, since
disappointed.
he's in a job that's useful for me, personally. He's in a very interesting job. Because he now manages, Yobi Bellingham. So if he wants, Rangers can trade him Bellingham for Lammers. I'll gladly take Yobi Bellingham right now and give them Sam Lammers.
I thought where you were going to go with this. I thought you were going to say, if they knock out Newcastle in the FA Cup, you get to laugh at the barcode merchants, as you like to call them, because they got beat by a team that's managed by Mickey Beale.
Oh, I'd laugh at that as well. That'd be pure gold. Like there's two moments for that. But no, I'm saying like there's plenty of Rangers players worth 5 million each if he wants to sign a few. But give us Yobi Bellingham and I'll celebrate. I think
Reece,
he'll be okay for Sunderland, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, do you think he's a fit, and what can he offer? Like, just briefly.
I don't think he's a great manager, I'll be honest with you. I don't think Michael Beale's a great manager. I think he's quite okay. I think the Rangers job is too big for him, personally. But he does know the Championship quite well. And I think when you look at his style of play, I think it does suit the Championship better than top flight experienced football where he has to go and play in Europe. I think you can see the difference how he organised the team. I think Sunderland will be a little bit more organised. But I think Sunderland were... I'd take Joe Bellingham any day. The fact that even Jude said that he's better than him says a lot. I think the importance being that Michael Beale needs to get a system in place quite quickly, because I think Sunderland have been a bit lacklustre since they weirdly got rid of Tony Mowbray. I think so. I find it strange they got it strange getting rid of him, because they were actually playing some decent football. I think Michael Beale can at least get them organised and get them playing football that will at least get them back in the right track. I think he's a good appointment, because he was never going to work for Rangers. Let's be real, he was never going to work. I saw it coming for day one.
For me, just a harder job. It is a very difficult job, considering this is only their second season now back up in the Championship, and in particular the quickness that they rocketed up that table. At the end of the day, leading to this appointment, they should have just stuck with Tony Mowbray. I think in the long run now... I
think you can see without Amad Diallo, he doesn't have a creative outlet. I think that's why they got Yobi Bellingham from Birmingham, was because he was quite good at creating from play from the central position. But they are lacking a creator from the wide position. They've got nothing.
They absolutely are.
It's a good thing for Michael Beale is Michael Beale's good at getting a team organised from the central positions. I think that will really help them.
That's the thing. I can see why they've sort of done it, but under Mowbray, they were meeting expectations. And looking at Sunderland fans' opinions on Twitter, etc., and just also the way that sort of the long-term plan with it, bringing in Beale in, I don't think he's going to be that. He's a short-term approach with it, and in particular with the way that Mowbray did it, they were there to back it. Why pull the plug when you're just going to bring in Michael Beale, who is going to put his system in? It'll work for a bit, not work, then he's going to end up getting sacked, or he could completely QPR them and walk if he gets offered a bigger job, which we've seen before.
I think this will be. I think it'll be difficult for him to get a bigger job in Sunderland, to be fair, when you look at... I think, in terms of bigger jobs, he's went from a big job to a fairly decent job in England. I don't think he's going to get any higher now. I think Sunderland is the last he's going to get. I don't think there's any... When you look in terms of actual success in the Championship, there isn't any other clubs bigger than Sunderland. Sunderland have got the most championships accumulated out of any club in the Championship. They've got 9 league titles.
Yeah.
There's no club in the Championship that actually has that success. The problem is they've just fell off so far from a cliff. But the funny thing is, though, is if he does beat Newcastle, that is literally the funniest thing of all time. Who knows, maybe he'll end up replacing Eddie Howe. But I think circumstance being, there's a lot riding on Sunderland here. I think Michael Beale does have a little bit of a point to prove, but the one thing that's quite telling is how he treated players at Rangers. some players they just cast out for no reason. Like Fashion Sakala, for example, was thriving. He was doing really well on the team from a wing position and from a striker. Now, Fashion Sakala's not an amazing player, but to then randomly just sell him to Saudi Arabia for no given reason, he just sold him. Like, he was like, well, I don't need you anymore. Even though he was generally one of the main goal scoring threats, he's like, I don't need you anymore, bye. And he binned them for players that were not even contributing. But if I was a player of Sunderland, to be fair, I'd be very careful of Michael Beale in that way. He's quite shady.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Sunderland.
Speaking about the Championship very quickly as well, just to jump in, can we just all take a minute to laugh at Swansea? I know it's going to come back and bite me, but I think it's Chris Davis's name, isn't it?
Well, they keep asking, and he keeps saying no.
Yeah, he keeps saying no.
Please,
coach,
I need you. Please take me, please.
And aside from him, because they've chucked all their eggs in one basket, they have no alternative approach. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's even better the way their fans are treating it as well. Oh, if we don't get a Swansea way manager, we're going to riot. Oh, it's just hilarious.
I don't understand them. I don't understand Swansea fans, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but your club isn't special. Like, it is to you. Like, your club's special to you, but I'm sorry, but like, you're not renowned for anything. The best thing you've done in your entire history has been I watched a manager who was too good for you manage your club to a League Cup. Like, Michael Laudrup is too big for Swansea. Michael Laudrup is bigger than their entire club.
That was like, I don't mean that as manager.
I still to this day don't understand how they got him.
I don't even know why they sacked him. They should never have sacked him. Fucking idiots. Like, imagine sacking one of the best players of all time, who was a good manager as well, and you binned him when he won a trophy that you had no chance of winning anyway, because all the big clubs decided to fuck up that season.
And on top of that as well, look at who they beat in the final.
I know, a shit Blackpool team.
No, it was Bradford City.
Or whoever it was.
That great Bradford City, that giant killing Bradford City that beat Arsenal and Aston Villa.
Even worse, Bradford. Pish. Like,
exactly.
I'm sorry, but it was a final that no one gave a shit about. It's not a final between Liverpool and Cardiff. It was just a final between two mid football teams.
Hey, no, that final was entertaining.
No, it wasn't. If it was
that Liverpool Cardiff match was by far, well, literally every Liverpool fan says it. It's across the board. It was one of the best League Cup finals of all time.
It's actually a good watch. I think the full match is actually available on the EFL YouTube channel.
It is, and they always rerun it on Sky. That atmosphere in there was nuts that day.
Tom Heaton, by the way, came in clutch.
I'll stick to Man United versus Tottenham, or Man United versus Villa finals. Fuck Liverpool versus Cardiff.
That United versus Villa final was. I don't know what it is, but it was something completely different to the Tottenham final. It didn't have the same source, like in terms of the two teams that played.
Do you want to know what's ironic? The League Cup is the only domestic trophy that Man United have ever actually retained. In Man United's entire history, the only domestic trophy that Man United have ever retained as a cup competition is the League Cup.
Careful, Reece. Someone might mishear you and forget that you said domestic, and they'll go, "Hang on, we went on three-peats for the league."
Oh, yeah, that is context, Nathan. The stream we were on the other night on Devil's Advocate, right? We were asked specifically to do a combined 11 between Man United 07-08 and Liverpool 2019 and Liverpool 2019-20, and somebody put in as a comment at the end of the show, what about Bruce, Pallister, Irwin? Come on, guys, educate yourselves. And I'm like, last time I checked, I replied back to him saying, I don't have to educate myself on anything. Last time I checked, these three players went around in 2007, 2008, because they're busy retiring.
Oh my god.
I'm like, fucking listen, you gonks.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Right. Anyway,
one final manager watch I just want to put there.
Slide it in.
Forest are apparently talking to Nuno Espirito Santo in case they sack Cooper.
bad decision.
Considering they operate a 5-2-3, what do you think about that?
I think it's a bad. I understand why they're talking to someone, but I think it's disrespectful. I think if you're going to talk to a manager, just sack the guy that's already in charge. Just sack him anyway. If you're not going to sack him, then don't speak to another manager. Like, short and sweet. That's my point of view on it.
Yeah.
I also think as well that I know I'll always back Cooper because I have massive respect for him, but at the end of the day, I mean, it happens towards the end with Swansea as well, where you had the massive disagreement with the owners, and then obviously it went mutual consent, which was just absolutely ridiculous at the time, considering what he'd done for that club.
No one leaves a club.
I remember that,
consent.
actually.
Exactly.
I remember that day, yeah.
It was one of the
Like,
most
I think it's
lunatic sackings ever.
I think it's the funniest phrase of all time. Somebody's been sacked by somebody's like left by mutual consent. No, they've been sacked. The club just
It's
don't
a
want to be an
Mexican
asshole.
standoff, if anything.
The thing
The
that
club
makes me
just
laugh
doesn't
with
want to
the
be
mutual
a-
consent one is when Mick McCarthy was allegedly removed by mutual consent after losing 9 games in a row, our records. That's not mutual consent.
It takes a big
That
guy
is
to
pure
admit he can't do
termination.
it anymore.
I know.
Like that's
That's
just pure sack. That's just pure sacking. Mutual consent is the funniest way to say we don't want to be hurtful and say we sacked the manager. No, just admit you sacked the person. It's not hard.
Exactly. But yeah, anyway, that's that debate over. Moving back to poor Mr. Cooper. I don't know why. I can actually see him walking. Because
I think he
Marinakis,
might.
by just looking further back from it, he's
too
puzzled
far.
on what to do. Because at the end of the day, he's nervous of getting relegated because he knows financially with what Forest have been like in the last few seasons, etc., and the amount of money spent, he's worried that
Yeah.
if he doesn't hit the panic button and he keeps Cooper, then they might see them get relegated. But at the same time, he doesn't want to sack Cooper for the job he's done and the stability that he's brought in. And on top of that as well, we've bringing in Nuno Espirito Santo, pretty much the same system, except that Cooper's a much better manager. He has the experience with these players. And not only that as well, he can control it better and has a better personality as well. And when things fall apart, we've all seen it before with Nuno, he struggles to get order back in that dressing room. Look at what happened at Wolves at the end. Look at Tottenham after that run.
If you're gonna
It's going to
sack,
happen again at Forest.
if you're gonna sack Steve Cooper, you need to beat West Ham and the manager that they should be getting, and you need to go and beat them to get Lopetegui.
Yes.
That team should not be playing a back five at all. Like, that is insulting for that Forest team. That Forest team should be playing a back four. Get more numbers further up the field than having more numbers in your defence. It's not good enough for them. But if you're going to sack them, sack them. You don't. If you're going to talk to another manager, you sack the manager you've got. That's just bait conversation. That's me. Right. We haven't got long left, so let's do this last bit. Where are we at?
Oh no.
We haven't got the official licensing this evening, so Cardiff City are called the Welsh Blues this evening. Nathan, you've had a funny old week, haven't you?
Oh, it's been horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. So 3-0 loss to Hull. Traditionally where we have a very good record up there as well. Oh, it was dire. And then that Birmingham City game, which was just ref watch alone in itself. What has happened to us? Like, it reminds me of just us from the last couple of seasons where we've been absolutely dreadful. And it's not. I know it's nowhere near how bad it has been the last few years, but just put it into perspective neatly. Not able to string a pass together. Individual mistakes are rife, with some performances horrific. Just toothless up front. I mean, Ike Ogbo, in the last few months, he has been an absolute travesty up front on loan. Kiona Tete, he's not getting the service, sadly, either. Carlon Grant is a deer in headlights. Literally, every time he's in a good position, it literally goes over the stadium because he just always seems to launch it. I mean, I've had a few... If anyone watches my videos, I've had a few this season where they're aiming for me. Like Ruben Colwell did it against Birmingham. Just get in a good position, bang.
Maybe he's trying to see if you're available, mate. You know, take him out of the town.
Oh,
If I
exactly.
strike that one, maybe he'll say yes.
I know, or he's trying to wake us up after we're like this when they're just passing it around and then lose the ball in the middle. My God. But I think...
up for a power nut, ball off the head. Boom, boom, boom.
Exactly, well said. I mean, it's good because I've got used to dodging now, which is all right. But I mean, let's put it into perspective with the reasons I think this is going wrong. First of all, we've got to go back to the 4-2-3-1 system and play Rupert Colwell. We brought him in, and he's had some wicked performances. Second of all, Tan has to put his money. I know it may not happen, and at the end of the day, look at the debt. Tan has to put his hand in his pocket in January. We've got nothing in midfield. Riles and Ramsey, our only creative option in midfield, both injured. We played Shoppis and Ebo Adams in midfield last weekend. That's no creativity at all. That's playing two defensive midfielders there.
I think
how
to
are you
avoid
supposed to
getting beat
create
is a
going
wise
forward?
move. It's wise if you're looking to avoid getting beat, but in that sense, you should really have at least have one option where you can just get a creative fulcrum. I agree. You definitely need hopefully some investment in January to at least make a push, because you haven't been bad. Like theoretically, you haven't been bad at all. You just don't have the numbers to be a killer up front.
That's the thing, and I think as well that doesn't happen with it is the amount of chop and changing, and that's just due to really poor individual performances up front. Because A, they're not getting the service, or B, you have just Carlon Grant skying it all the time. And we've seen that in reaching in midfield as well. Ryan Winsell, he's been dropped because of poor performances. And then where do we start with runner Alex Runnison? He's just a mistake waiting to happen. If anyone's seen that goal with Birmingham, I know it was offside. I know it shouldn't have been given because of the foul on Itete in particular. But he just goes to catch it. Bakuna flicks it over him. Tap in. Just no composure there at all, and the mistakes.
You know what? I completely forgot he'd signed for Cardiff on loan until I saw him that day.
I will happily pay to drive him back to Arsenal. He is terrible.
Nathan, right? Let me just float a scenario quickly by you. First question: how many players or positions do you think you need to go in for in January?
Not a lot. It's just midfield. All
4.
Cardiff need is a midfield.
4.
So for me, terminate the loan for Runnison. Go out there and scrape the ball. Just get any keeper on loan or play Anik. Even sign one on a free. I think persisting with him was just diabolical. Second of all, we need a left back. If Jamilu Collins gets injured, we have nobody there. I mean, we have Joel Bagan, who has been superb in the last few years as that young, up-and-coming, good left back. Yet we decide to send him into the Belgian second division. Whose bright idea was that?
We all know whose bright idea that was.
Vincent Tan, he's the man with a plan. Vincent Tan. God, I love that little tune there. But we need 2 midfielders. I know we're going to go in for Bakasetas. God knows how much he's going to cost in wages, and probably about £4 million. Where are we getting that from a start? And then also another box-to-box. Exactly. More than likely. Or wherever he's just plucking it out of thin air, like the other season when we got Robinson for 1.7 million, when they said there's no budget available, we had to sell players. Absolute lunacy.
The irony is, I think Yusuf got money. He's just using that tactic to do fuck all. Same with Man United. Like, Man United has money, but it's always the same bollocks saying Man United have got no money to spend. Oh, we've got money. Just they want to just hide behind stupid stuff. I generally think Cardiff have got money. I think you've got money. I think your fans have been fooled for years.
Let me run a scenario by you then, Nathan.
Yeah.
You get 1 free agent, 1 loan signing, and 1 money signing.
I'll go one further. Cardiff could literally spend 10 million in January and they wouldn't have an issue. I'm not joking.
Wow.
Cardiff could spend about 10. I actually think Cardiff have got money, and the worst thing is their supporters group, their main supporters group, have been taken for a ride as well. I reckon Cardiff have literally got the money, but Vincent Tan's always going to hide behind the fact that we're in debt. I can't afford it. They've got money to spend if they wanted to. I reckon they could dump 10, 15 million and improve that position. Easy. I think they could.
I think as well, back in at what Reece's point has said, free transfer embargoes helps that out well.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because then again, it shows the ambition of how badly Tam wants to sell, because he knows straight away he's not going to be able to sell when he's in the Championship. And the fans, everyone knows from my vlogs, everything, my opinions, the fans want him out. And the fans have always wanted him out. There's no going back from him. The only way
he's just an owner that doesn't want to spend his own money. He's like David. He is a foreign David Murray.
He is.
Except David Murray knew how to win big trophies. But in circumstance being though, he's the same. Head behind his own money. And the fans suffered because of it.
And boy, have we as well. I think another thing that doesn't happen as well, and we've seen it with the players getting a bit shirty as well, is the negativity from the fans. I know I come on here all guns blazing all the time, negative. But look at how some of our fans are during the matches.
I said the same thing.
You did.
Said the same thing about your fans. Don't take out the players. The players need your support because they are not confident players at all. They are purple patch to a magnet.
They absolutely are.
Stand by the fans for 90 minutes, then abuse your owner. I'm full on in support of that.
Nathan,
abuse them in the right circumstance.
You get one free agent, one money signing, and one loan signing.
You've missed that.
What are you getting for each?
You've missed that again. Cardiff don't need a free agent.
They will go for it. Money. I promise you now, they will go for it. This is realistic. Realistically, I'm on your bandwagon about they've got money to spend, but they're not going to spend it. So I'm trying to paint a realistic picture in my head where they're probably going to get a loan. If they're going to make more than one signing, it's going to be one money, one free agent, one loan signing.
Question for you, Julio, as well. Out of the two that we've been linked with, are we signing Bakasetas or are we signing Kiefer Moore?
Bakasetas.
I think you're going for more.
No. I don't. And the reason why I think they're not is because they've already been there before.
And bearing in mind, he also handed in a transfer request as well.
Exactly. And fans will not
get
like
out
that.
Of there.
They've had that before.
If everyone remembers, there was a lot of animosity at the time. Literally just because he did not want to be in a relegation battle. And he should have gone for a lot more as well on top of it. But I will bring this in as well. And it's with... What's it called? It's with Tan's trigger-happy firing of managers. What if we get to this stage down the line where it gets really bad and on this bad run, he ends up sacking Errol Bullitt and we're left with all these Greek players and the team that he's built? Where do we go from that position?
That's long-termism. Tan won't have that. I guarantee you that could be the situation. We could be sitting here this time next year discussing that.
I think we could, because bearing in mind, Bullett's only signed a one-year deal.
That's not something
He'll only offer one-year contracts.
That's not where we can get to. Anyway, last topic.
Moving on.
last one, then we're getting out of here. Serial winner, eh?
Who is this good for and who is this bad for, Reece?
In general, it's definitely good for Rangers because that's Rangers finally completed the set. Secondly, it's good for confidence in the Rangers team that they've won the first trophy of the season. They're still free to play for. Well, technically the Europa League's still there, but Rangers aren't going to win the Europa League, let's be real. But they did win that group. And I said they'd win the group. It's bad for Celtic because Celtic have now lost their 52 unbeaten home streak to Hearts from the striker that's Rangers' top target in January and the summer in Shankland. So that adds to that. Thirdly, the fact that Rangers were able to grind that result against Aberdeen, who, to be fair, Rangers should have battered them. But to be fair, the fact that Rangers still got a result by playing a difficult game shows that Rangers are actually hungry to win in a different way. Whereas Celtic can only play one way, and Celtic had two big chances to go 12 points clear of Rangers. They've now granted Rangers 2 games in hand with a 5-point gap before Rangers play Celtic at the end of the year. that is bad for Celtic if you want to look at their title credentials. And I actually think Rangers can go and I think Rangers and Celtic might actually draw at the end of the year. But that's fine because they'll still be top of the league. In terms of the circumstance being, I think I said a while ago that I think maybe the title's over because I thought Philip Clement would struggle. I don't anymore. I actually think Philip Clement's got a very good chance of actually leading Rangers to a trophy. Well, like the league. I did say he was going to win the League Cup anyway. Well, the Viaplay Cup, it's the League Cup. I did say he would win it anyway. But he's got a very big chance of either winning the Scottish Cup or winning the league. He had no chance a month ago. Now he's got a massive chance. I think if you're a Celtic fan, you need to be honest and admit you have really taken Rangers too lightly.
Yeah, I would agree. I think these all come at the best of times, and Rangers are in this title race. And if they win it, which wouldn't surprise me at this point, because Brendan Rodgers at the helm at Celtic.
Not to mention the likes of
What a
Dessers
turnaround.
and Sima are now, and not to mention the likes of Dessers and Sima are now firing in the back of the net. They're actually now scoring when they didn't score under Michael Beale.
Yeah. So
That's another thing.
this season for Rangers, all to play for. What a turnaround it could be, considering where they were a couple of months ago.
Rangers right now technically still mathematically can win a domestic treble. I'm not saying they will, but they haven't done it since 2003. But it is possible that the Rangers could technically win a domestic treble. And that would be a massive slap in the face to Celtic for how arrogant they've been in recent years. That's obviously just circumstantial, but I think Rangers will win 2 out of 3. I think Rangers will win both cups. I think Celtic are still likely to win the league, but only by a point or 2. But if Rangers somehow win this league, holy shit, the amount of what Rangers can do in the summer as well to that squad. I think Clement will be very ruthless with who he brings in. That's another thing that I'm impressed with.
Do you think they do business in January? Like anything significant, or?
A centre-back and a striker. I think Shankland is definitely a must. A centre-back is needed though.
Yeah.
I think if Rangers get Shankland, Rangers win the league. I'm that confident that Shankland can win the league for Rangers because he just scores goals for fun.
Do you think it comes down to Rangers being that good or Celtic complacency?
Both, because Rangers still had to draw them back. Like Celtic obviously have to draw points because they're not playing well, but Rangers have to capitalise. That pressure's definitely got to them. I think it's certainly possible.
Fair enough.
Yep.
How far are we? We're an hour and 12 minutes into the show. Anything any of you gentlemen want to add?
I think we covered it well.
Got a quiz on Devil's Advocate at 7:30 on Wednesday, and then I've got my wrestling quiz on Sunday. So if you want to do that, check out the Weekly Steel Chair on Sunday. Thank you very much, gents. Good show.
Yeah, fair enough. Shout out your tags, and then I think we'll call it a day.
Oh, that's me.
Tribu's active deck from Anton Deck. We love to see it.
Wanker.
Noise. You guys need to change it back. I didn't save what you guys had originally. That's my B.
I know mine's
there
fine.
it is.
Mistyped that one. I mistyped my one.
Nice.
1 second. There we go. Yep. After that, I need to go because I am shattered.
Yeah, nice. Well,
thank everyone.
Another Monday night gone. Another show. Thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Bye for now.
Live on YouTube. And listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.